to do is set up a
Okay.
Never mind.
It's on.
And I think what you do, you know,
Okay.
you lay the foundation, you enter and you say exhibit N1, which is the genetic results for Reese Lansing showing he has the PKD gene. No objection, it's entered. Have him read what because it says on there, you know, Mr. Lansing, on that document where it says gene mutation, what does it say for your son, Reese Lansing? It says that he's positive for the mutation for PKD. Thank you. Now publish this to the jury. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead. And you can do it then or at the end. It doesn't matter when you do it. Do it at the end is fine because then they're not distracted looking at it. But I think when you do that question, when you enter it, you've got to get that one more question. It is, what does this say? Because otherwise it's a document that you're not using any other way. You're not using it to close it. You're not holding it up and going, look, the doctors aren't using it. So it's like this throwaway document that you entered to enter, but we didn't use. So this proves it and then we move on.
Yeah, I think I would still, because that
Wait-
has like
waiting's
numbers and weird stuff on it and people are gonna wanna read it, I'd wait till the end. If it
And
was
what
just
I
like
would
a
do,
picture where
honestly,
someone
is like-
lights it.
So foundation, what is this? It's this, okay, everything good, it's entered, exhibit N1. What does it say about his genetic condition? It says that he's positive for the mutation for PKD. Thank you, Mr. Lansing. May I retrieve the exhibit? Yes, take it, set it on the clerk's table, wherever they told you to put it for you to try.
Because that's what I was.
So, because that shows you're listening.
Yeah.
So take it, because he doesn't need it anymore, take it, set it there, and when you're done, you say, may I publish the exhibits that we entered to the jury? Yes, go retrieve it and publish it to the jury, and you're done.
Just trying to figure out when.
Yeah, because that'll give you, well, and then what you do is, so you put it there, you take it from him, you ask to retrieve, you put it there. When you're done with your direct, you ask to publish to the jury, you put it there, and then when you're done with your redirect, you ask to retrieve the exhibits from the jury and place them back with the clerk. You put it there.
Thanks.
So I have to ask to retrieve.
Yeah, if you're taking something from the jury.
Is it recording the whole?
And then as a side,
Anytime you're approaching the jury box to grab something from them, even if it's sitting on the rail there, so you are, may I approach the jury to retrieve an exhibit?
Okay.
Yeah.
How about retrieving the exhibit from the witness?
No, if the judge tells you, if we're gonna ask the question and the judge tells you first time only,
Right.
you've already asked, so you can just approach and
Yeah.
retrieve and you
Okay.
say, Your Honor, go up there and say, Your Honor, I'm placing the exhibit with the clerk.
Right.
Like you asked, so that you know,
Yeah.
your son, you're kissing ass going, hey, this is what you told me to do, so that's what I'm doing. And then when you're done with, you return over there, finish your direct out. When you're done with the direct, you say, Your Honor, may I retrieve evidence and publish it to the jury at this time? Yes. Say, then I have no further questions. You sit down, cross happens, you stand up, whatever your redirect is. And when you're done with the redirect, you say, Your Honor, may I retrieve evidence from the jury and place it back with the clerk? You'll do that, take it, put it back over there, and then sit down and say, no further questions.
and then as a side point to that too, if you're the person crossing and they've just published up to the jury, especially if it's more than one document, they're passing it down, wait until the jurors are done looking
but
at
tell
stuff
the
before
court.
you start. Yeah.
So like he says, I'm done, by the way, here's this stuff. And the judge like cross-examines, you say, Your Honor, may I wait a moment while the jury finishes looking at the evidence counsel just gave them. So that way everyone hears that you know what the hell you're doing in waiting for them to look at it. And they'll actually probably just stop looking at it and set it aside and let you go because they don't care about it. But let the judge know that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right, continue. Yeah, cross-examine.
Mr. Lansing,
Stand, you want to stand and come center. Twist. There you go.
Even one.
Even a little more, yeah.
like that way?
No, that way. You want to be fading. No. Come this way. Turn that way.
Twist.
There you go.
45, you want a triangle.
Yeah, you want to be in the.
All right.
You also want to be in the picture. So.
Yeah, I know. That's
Oh,
why
I
that's why I was like right there in the middle.
Worried
But-
about being in it, doing the triangle. Yeah,
Yeah, we can do
There you
that.
go. There you go.
All right. Perfect.
Tilt it down just a little bit,
Yes.
Get my
Ryan.
shoes.
Perfect.
Completes the outfit.
Now dance.
Mr. Lansing,
Mm-hmm.
you are Reese's father, correct?
Yes.
But you're not his biological father.
No.
You adopted Reese through an agency?
Yes.
And while you were adopting him, you had several tests run on him.
Yeah.
And one of those tests is, or was, a IQ test.
Yes.
You learned that Reese was very intelligent.
Yes.
His IQ was around 180.
Correct.
You testified that Reese is actually attending college,
Yes.
and he's only 16.
Yes.
He's actually about to graduate from college.
Yes.
He's already gotten into Stanford Medical School.
Yes.
Reese lives in the dorms at college, correct?
Correct.
Not in your house.
No.
You testified that you do not give him any financial support.
We pay for
I
his.
don't believe that's what the witness testified.
Sustained, rephrase the question.
Absolutely not. You testified that Reese manages his own finances
Yes, from the trust fund.
from his trust fund. So he manages day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month finances.
Correct.
So he's pretty autonomous,
For the most part.
like a normal college student.
For the most part.
Mr. Lansing, I want to take you back to those medical tests. You learned through those medical tests that Reese has a genetic mutation for PKD.
Correct.
And you're aware of the health risks with PKD.
Yes.
You never told Reese that he had the genetic disposition for PKD.
We did.
But you did tell him he was adopted.
Correct.
So you didn't tell Reese a very important, vital piece of information about his life.
Correct.
And you're suing the hospital because they didn't do their job.
They didn't ask his age.
And you learned through Reese's counselor that he wanted to donate his kidney.
Correct.
And you didn't do anything to stop him, did you?
I never thought the hospital wouldn't ask for his age.
So you didn't do your job as a parent, did you?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Sustained.
Mr. Lansing, do you have any reason to not believe the information you got from the counselor?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Lansing, why did you never tell Reese about his genetic mutation?
Yeah, you don't have it in there. Can you show me? Because I don't think you have it in this. Yeah, this is- Should I take it to you? Yep.
Just kind of expound on that. See the class. Read it. Mr. Lansing, why did you never tell Reese about his genetic
It just never came up, and we kind of felt we didn't want to burden him with that information, not until we were sure that he needed to know it.
Mr. Lansing, why did you bring this suit?
We felt that the hospital was completely off base when they operated on my son without our consent. I mean, he's only 16.
Why is this suit in Reese's best interests?
Well, again, he has this genetic mutation that has the ability to affect his kidneys, and they took one of his kidneys.
Thank you, Mr. Lansing. Your Honor, at this time, may I retrieve the evidence from the jury and put it in the clerk's desk?
Place with the clerk. Yes, you may.
Am I struggling with that?
Nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Witness may step down.
Thank you, Mr. Lansing.
Plaintiff have any further witnesses it wishes to call?
Yes, Your Honor. Plaintiff calls Dr. Charlie Skinner.
Okay, Dr. Skinner, please come around.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. At this time, Your Honor, we'd like to read in some deposition testimony from unavailable witnesses.
Okay. Does the defense have any objection to this testimony? Have you shared this testimony with
We have, Your Honor, we provided them copies of the depositions and the suggested portions that we wish to read in.
Okay.
Your Honor, defense counsel would just, as we stated pre-trial, would just like to be able to object to the depositions as they are read in, but have no problem with plaintiff's counsel reading them, and just ask that we be able to object.
Sure. Well, let's work out first what we, what depositions are we reading in right
We're reading the deposition of an economist, Dr. Neil Sampit.
Okay, do you have any objection to any of Dr. Neil Sampit's deposition testimony?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so that has been read, we'll assume you read it. I know you're actually gonna read parts, you're gonna certainly read all of it, but you're asking to read portions, right? When we do
Yes,
this
right
live?
now.
Okay, so no objection to that, so we've assumed you've read that. All right, do you have any other depositions that you want to read live to the jury at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, the deposition of Don Kiefer.
Okay, is there any objection to any portions of the testimony of Don Kiefer?
Yes, Your Honor, there are sections in Don Kiefer's deposition that go to remedial measures of the hospital that they have taken. We ask that any reference to that either in the deposition or being read in are excluded, and that those portions of that deposition are redacted so that they are not published.
Okay, are you reading the entirety of Don Kiefer's deposition in?
No, Your Honor.
Are you asking to constructively be read in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, the entirety of it.
The entirety of it.
Okay, so there are portions of that deposition that you wish to strike because they contain subsequent remedial measures?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we need to get that rule number, just so.
407.
Perfect. Sorry. No, that's fine. And then you need to have the page and line, we don't have extra lines on these, do we? It's just a page number.
But there are not many lines on
Yeah,
that.
but you just said a page and then you say the line starting with blank, ending with blank.
I'll do binders for us that
Yeah,
have like plaintiff highlighted in yellow, red of what we want stricken
Perfect.
and all that.
And you don't need to have what you want stricken to give to them, you just need to have.
Yeah, for our reference.
Yeah, you just need to know what it is, so you can say, this is what we strike, agree to strike it. Okay, so they've asked that whatever sentences be redacted because they contain subsequent remedial measures, which are not allowed pursuant to Rule 407. Do you have any response to that, or are you amenable to striking those from the deposition?
To the extent we have a response, Your Honor, we would point out liability has already been found in this case. These so-called remedial measures would not be going to liability of the defendant, but rather to the extent of punitive damages that could be assessed by the jury.
Wouldn't the jury confuse the remedial measures and perhaps award higher punitive damages based on the subsequent acts taken by the hospital to cure that
Your Honor,
defect?
Your Honor,
I mean, that's the whole point of subsequent remedial measures.
yes, it's just an argument. But if Your Honor would be amenable to giving a limiting instruction to the use of this information.
What about a limited instruction versus just redaction in full?
Your Honor, we would continue to ask for fully redaction, for these to fully be redacted. As you've already mentioned, these go directly to punitive damages, and that furthermore, pursuant to 403, that this information being heard by the jury would substantially outweigh the probative value and would mislead the jury to assume or to infer that because the hospital acted in such a way that they are then, or should be then, liable for punitive damages.
I like that argument. Not go to 403 right away, but I like no, I mean, you say it's subsequent remedial measures, but what it's allowing them to hear this even with limiting instruction may result in the jury choosing to punish the hospital for taking actions to improve their record-keeping process.
I was gonna say,
Something
can
like
we
that.
add into that, like, the purpose of 407 was to establish and encourage hospitals to make changes and punitive
Without
damages
being-
to punish
Yeah, I
them?
would say
So it would be
I like that.
contradictory to the
purpose of the
purpose.
the purpose of the rule is to allow entities and organizations like hospitals to continually improve safety measures and protocols, and to allow the jury to hear that and punish them before taking those steps would
Would
be
be
improper.
counterintuitive.
Okay, so that will be stricken. Any other sections of this deposition that you wish to discuss?
Nothing further.
All
no.
right, so you've read whatever you're gonna read from that out loud, the rest is constructive. Any other depositions at this time that you wish to read?
Not from plaintiff, no.
Okay, does the defense, well, y'all won't be able to read other depositions until your case in chief, but if you have anything in particular you want to read out loud from Kiefer or Sampat, then you'll get to read those simultaneous.
Okay.
And a judge may say no, he may say you have to wait till your case in chief, but the way we need to pitch that is, if they're gonna read it in now, and if you have something to read, in order to, for continuity, such as, it would be basically akin to a cross-exam of the witness, we'd ask to read certain portions in at this time. So if you have anything from those you're gonna read, let's make that happen, otherwise, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other witnesses for the plaintiff?
So we're not actually gonna go and read it.
No, we won't worry about that tonight. Okay. You don't need to go read the depositions. So you're gonna do Harry, Depos, and then Smith, right?
Right. Yes, Your Honor, this time, plaintiff calls Dr. Charlie Skinner.
Okay. Or you take it out?
Good. Got this.
This I've practiced. You may not like my answer.
Jader.
What?
Jader.
Your Honor, I'd like permission to set up the courtroom for demonstration.
Can you do me a favor? Can the whiteboard be on that one, and can you put them a little bit higher up the, Dakota, on the thing, the little clips? Set them up higher so the board sits a little higher.
Okay.
Just click them into place now. If you flatten them out,
Oh, I see.
there you go. Perfect, thank you.
Did I hear you say there's a second easel?
No,
We have several easels, okay.
that's one I brought, but
I've got one at home
Okay.
that is ours now. The others are not.
we can use the chair for just the life care plan.
Well, we're gonna put the whiteboard on it now.
I'm gonna belong to Amazon. So
Oh, okay, there you
go.
go.
Where is the whiteboard? And what side did you want this on?
Closest to me. Upward. Other way.
Other way? Oh, yeah, obviously.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Wouldn't you want a little lever on there so that it's more stable? Or do you want it?
It's just hard when I get to the bottom
Yeah,
for me.
like that.
I can practice squatting down.
We'll work it
Um, will you rotate that?
It's my computer, so I'll take responsibility.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Dr. Skinner, please introduce yourself to the jury.
Hi, my name is Dr. Charlie Skinner.
Dr. Skinner, before we get to your life care plan that you prepared for this case, let's go over your background. Where did you go to school?
I went to school at the University of London in England.
And what kind of school did you go to in England?
I got my degree in psychology there and then continued education at the university to get my bachelor's of surgery as well as my bachelor's of medicine. I also recently attended Harvard to get a degree in public health.
Where did you work after school?
After school, I did a fellowship over at Tufts New England Medical Center in the nephrology department.
What is nephrology, Dr. Skinner?
Nephrology is a specialty of medicine that concerns itself with the normal functions of the kidney, problems with kidneys, and treatment of kidneys, mostly renal treatment, which includes dialysis and kidney transplants.
And Dr. Skinner, where do you work now?
Currently, I'm a physician at the Brigham Women's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts.
Have you held any teaching positions over the course of your career?
I did. After my fellowship at Tufts New England Medical Center, I was an instructor and then became an associate professor at the medical center.
Have you received any awards throughout your teaching and medical career?
I've received multiple awards in the capacity as a teacher as well as a physician, but most recently in 2013, I was given the Life Care Planners Achievement Award.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd like to remind the court that pursuant to stipulations number 13 and 14 agreed upon in the pretrial hearing that Dr. Skinner be an expert in the field of life care planning and the field of nephrology.
Any objections?
Your Honor, pursuant to those stipulations, we have no objections.
You may proceed.
Okay, Dr. Skinner, did you prepare a life care plan for Reese?
I did.
And what is the purpose of a life care plan?
The Life Care Plan takes the patient's medical history and looks towards the future of their treatment and care in their medical treatment and care. It's basically a roadmap for a patient and discuss all the services, costs that they will need for their medical benefit.
And were you compensated for preparing this life care plan?
Yes, my normally rate of $375 an hour.
Are you prepared to present your life care plan to the jury today and explain the conclusions that you came to?
I am.
Dr. Skinner, what do you follow or what did you follow when you created Reese's Life Care Plan?
I follow all the methodology and recommendations laid out by the International Life Care Planners Association.
And what information did you use for this case for creating Reese's Life Care Plan?
I reviewed all the depositions in today's case, including the economists, the parents of Reese Lansing himself, and the other physicians involved in the case. In addition to this, I used my own expertise and experience in the field to come to conclusions on the life care plan.
Did you have sufficient facts and data to create this opinion?
I did,
And is this opinion based on reliable principles and methods?
absolutely.
Did you reliably apply those principles and methods to the facts of this case?
Yes, I did.
I want to talk a little bit about what you based your opinion on. What specifically stood out to you in the medical records of Reese Lansing?
Well, I reviewed Reese Lansing's blood test results, and in these blood test results, two things stood out to me. First, Reese's glomerular filtration rate, or more commonly known as his GFR levels, and Reese's cholesterol levels.
Backing up just a little bit, what were you able to determine about Reese's health in general from his medical records?
Based off of Reese's genetic testing, we found that Reese was a carrier of a mutation for polycystic kidney disease, or more commonly known as PKD.
What is PKD?
PKD is an inherited disease that replaces the normal kidney tissue with fluid-filled cysts. These cysts reduce the kidney function, which then can lead to kidney disease. We see symptoms of PKD being back or side pain, flank pain, as we know in the medical field, headaches, urinary tract infections, and blood in the urine.
And just to be clear, Dr. Skinner, does Reese currently have PKD?
Reese is not symptomatic of PKD. He does not have any of the symptoms that I just listed. However, he is a carrier of the disease.
Do you have an opinion, based on a reasonable degree of medical certainty, whether or not Reese will eventually become symptomatic of the disease?
Yes, it is my belief to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that Reese will contract PKD later in life. We typically see PKD manifest around 35 years of age.
Now let's go back to the lab findings that we mentioned earlier. I believe you said GFR. What is GFR?
GFR, the glomerular filtration rate, is the #1 indicator for kidney function. It is used to determine how the kidneys are functioning. We take it on a scale that better is more, so the best being 100%, that kidneys are working 100% of the time. Anything less than that means that the kidneys aren't working to their full capacity. Therefore, the kidneys got a GFR rating of 45, they're only working 45% of the time.
Yeah, I'm showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked as plaintiff's exhibit P1.
45% capacity.
Just wanna make sure you don't get the each
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor.
No, that's an affidavit.
What?
I mean,
I mean, it's kind of made up, I know.
yeah, no.
Dr. Skinner, do you recognize what I just handed you?
Yes, this is the blood test results for Reese Lansing in 2011.
And when, you said 2011, so it would have been taken in 2011?
Yes.
Where would this be kept?
The hospital that drew these blood tests was Allister City Presbyterian Hospital, so they would have kept them in their records.
And how did you go about retrieving this?
I contacted the hospital and asked them for a copy.
And did you base your opinion off of this lab report?
Yes, I did.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd like to enter plaintiff's exhibit P1 into evidence.
The objection to exhibit P1,
Pursuant to stipulation 13, Your Honor, no objection.
without objection, exhibit P1 will be entered into evidence.
And Dr. Skinner, we were just talking about GFR. According to that 2011 report, what was Reese's GFR?
Reese's GFR was 75 milliliters per minute.
What does a GFR of 75 mean for someone like Reese, someone with a PKD gene?
Well, as I was giving the example earlier with 45, 75 would mean that the Reese's kidneys were only working at 75% of their capacity. Therefore, 25% of Reese's kidneys were damaged and failing.
Is it common for someone's GFR to fluctuate over time?
It is common for it to fluctuate. Naturally, all people's GFR levels gradually decrease as they age. However, for GFRs to decrease and increase is a clear sign that something is of concern.
Okay, Dr. Skinner, now let's talk a little about cholesterol levels. I think that was the other thing that stood out to you in the lab report.
Yes.
According to that 2011 report, what were Reese's cholesterol levels?
Reese's cholesterol levels were 232 milligrams per deciliter.
Is that considered a high cholesterol level?
Absolutely. We like to see cholesterol be no more than 200 milligrams per deciliter. Cholesterol is a huge problem in our population.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been marked as plaintiff to the R8.
Okay.
Dr. Skinner, what is that?
This is the life care plan summary that I created for Reese Lansing.
Your Honor, pursuant to stipulation number 11, we would like to admit this life care plan into evidence.
Any objection to the life care plan being offered in evidence?
None, Your Honor.
What's the exhibit number of?
R8.
Okay, exhibit R8 would be entered without objection.
Also, at this time, we prepared a blow-up of the life care plan, and I'd like to ask permission for Dr. Skinner to come down and explain it to the jury.
Okay.
That'll work. Dr. Skinner, if you would, please describe the general layout of this life care plan.
Well, as I stated earlier, a life care plan is a roadmap for someone's health. It lists all the itemized needs that the patient will need for the lifetime of their health. And then it lists the frequency that they will need these at. Additionally, how long that these treatments and care services will occur, and the cost of each of these.
Before we go any further, Dr. Skinner, did you make any assumptions when creating this life care plan?
I did. It's normal in life care planning that we make assumptions before we come to these numbers. The first assumption I had to make was that Reese will contract PKD around the, actually, let me back up. The first assumption I made was that Reese would have a life expectancy of 79, can I write down the board then?
Sure.
Of 79.3 years. And this is based on the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The second is,
Go ahead.
the second assumption I made is that Reese will contract PKD at the age of 35.
Doctor, I see that you're setting this up in a timeline. So how old is Reese right now?
Reese is 16 years old.
So as far as treatment is concerned, what type of treatment will Reese need for the rest of his life? So from age 16 till age 79.
There are several things that Reese will need for his entire lifetime with PKD. First, he's going to need regular checkups. Also, as he's already been doing, he'll need regular blood tests. And finally, he'll need to visit with a dietitian to make sure that he's on course with his diet as PKD begins to affect his life. And for lifetime, we'll use the color blue.
How much do each of those items cost? Or how much will they cost?
Well, I put an itemized cost list here on the life care plan summary. The follow-ups will cost about $265 per visit. The blood work about $865 per year, and the dietitian $280 per visit.
So if we add up all of those costs, what's the total cost for that category?
Doing some quick math in my head, I believe it's somewhere around $121,680.
824, but that would have been impressive.
824.
Yes. Now, Dr. Skinner, let's talk about the treatment that Reese will need once the PKD symptoms manifest.
Absolutely.
So, in your opinion, based on a reasonable degree of medical certainty, what type of treatment will he need at that point?
Well, once PKD begins to affect him around the age of 35, this will be the critical time period for Reese's health. He will not only need to be put on dialysis, but he will have to have the dialysis port surgery. In addition to having a nurse administer the dialysis. And finally, dialysis is not a permanent solution, so you'll eventually have to have a kidney transplant.
Dr. Skinner, what exactly is dialysis?
Dialysis is a medical treatment where a patient is connected to a machine through a port in their arm. The port then filters the blood through a machine and does the work of the kidneys for the patient.
How much will those treatments cost? Not just the dialysis, but the treatments in red.
During the critical stage of Reese's medical care, the total cost will be somewhere in the range of $2,800,000. I don't know these numbers.
It's actually $1,591,680.
1 million, what is it?
591,680.
Sorry, I'll get these numbers.
Objection, counsel testifying.
And finally, Dr. Skinner,
Oh, we'll use red for the critical stage.
how much or what type of treatment will Reese need after the kidney transplant?
Well, like I said, dialysis is not a permanent solution, so eventually Reese will have to get a new kidney. And to make sure that this kidney is functioning properly within Reese's body, he will need to have anti-rejection medication for the duration of his life.
How much will the anti-rejection medication?
The anti-rejection medication will cost $634,100.
Now, Dr. Skinner, if we take the total cost from each phase of Reese's life, what does that add up to?
The total cost of Reese's healthcare plan, his roadmap, will come to a total of $2,878,000. $836.
Thank you, Dr. Skinner. I have no further questions. Your Honor, we'd like to preserve the life care plan as Exhibit R8 as well as the whiteboard as Exhibit R9. We'll be using both of these in closing argument.
Is there an R, there's not an R9 in the packet, right? It is an R8?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I hit across your name.
Permission to publish these exhibits.
Make that
to the jury.
clear.
What's that?
Make that clear.
I know. I made the timeline too. Figure out my spacing.
I would move it over to the right, because you can make the numbers smaller, a lot easier than make the whole sentence.
Yeah.
You were at 17 minutes.
Yeah, move it
We
forward.
missed a couple questions, I think.
Yeah, I know.
We still didn't get the 40 on there.
Would,
We're gonna do penal cover, we're gonna do tomorrow, and we're gonna do it Tuesday. Dalzell will be here Tuesday night, either after class, or I'll release y'all early to meet with her.
Tomorrow's gonna be a short practice.
Tomorrow will be short.
Tomorrow's the pre-trial, patient refreshing, and, open and close the on this.
But watch your videos tonight and, see what you need to fix.
You're leaving us?
I gotta go pick up a baby at the airport.
Oh,
What's the
no.
deciding justice matter?
That doesn't sound creepy at all.
That sounds like I got a guy at the airport.
I got a guy at the airport, he's
Sounds
giving me a
like
baby.
Government from Sierra Leone today.
Speaking of, I have to take around Columbia.
Yeah, you wanna take it down when you're.
Can I give you a copy of my closing before you go? Do you want it or?
Yeah.
I think it's on the chair
Yeah,
behind you,
wanna
Ben.
take this down once you're done, so you say we're done.
There's 2 copies there.
Does it matter?
4 pages now. Ben has it.
We'll mark it, we'll put the laminate on tomorrow, so we can start marking on the actual exhibits.
we can mark on that. Well,
Yeah, that was dry erase, but we need a verdict for
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah. I'll bring this back tomorrow, we'll actually mark it up, so we can start using
You ready?
it. It'll be Thursday.
I think so. We have a murder trial in Hampton that they said will be done by Wednesday, but then they might have one more drug trial after that.
I should do it.
Brett, just FYI, I know you said Dazell's coming Tuesday. I'm out of town as of Friday morning.
I'm talking about tomorrow.
I know, but if you're planning on getting anybody else, I won't be here Friday, Saturday, and morning of Sunday. I'll be back in the afternoon Sunday.
Yeah.
So I could do a Sunday
We'll have a
night.
dress code like Sunday.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, no, this is just, like, I'm not, don't like dress up.
No, I know.
She's just gonna need
I just know
Yes.
if you're planning and arranging like to get whoever in, I'm
the.
Friday, Saturday.
That's fine, 'cause I think, isn't
Friday,
the law
Saturday.
school locked now Sunday mornings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I probably won't be back till Sunday like
You're
evening.
all, don't you have a key?
But-
They
no
all
alarm.
Huh?
No alarm.
I thought you were, I'm sorry.
Friday, Saturday.
You just need an ID.
Point out-
Just
point out
ID,
mine,
Ally, you can just text one of us, we'll let you inside door.
No, the door's locked now on Sunday mornings.
Go to your.
Somebody puts the little thing
Yeah, but
in.
there's a police officer lady here, and as long as you have an ID or she
Oh, I
recognizes
saw
you,
my ID.
she'll let you.
That's the beauty of USCID is they don't have
But
that
no.
data.
Same as Wofford. I was that student, so. Okay. What do I say? My turn.
May police court?
Hey, police court.
There you go.
My witness.
You're a doctor, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
And as a doctor, don't you have some expectations for your patients?
I wouldn't call them expectations.
Would you say one of those expectations that they're honest to you?
I would hope that my patients were being honest. It wouldn't benefit them if they weren't.
Wouldn't you want them to tell you all the most important facts about their lives?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the best way to give them a diagnosis?
It's the best way, but not always the way.
So you would like them to actually tell you how old they are, wouldn't you?
If they're capable of doing that, we have a lot of patients coming in that aren't able to speak.
Don't you think a 16-year-old who's about to go to Stanford Medical School is capable of telling you his age?
I was not the doctor in that case, but yes, he probably was.
I mean, but don't you think in any case a 16-year-old about to go to med school would be able to tell the doctors about their age?
Yes.
Thank you. So in making your diagnosis or making your life care plan for Mr. Reese, you relied on all pertinent information about his life, didn't you?
Yes.
But mainly you relied on some tests, didn't you?
His blood test
His
that
blood
his
test.
parents kept regularly up for him.
The one in 2001,
It was actually
the
1999.
one in 1999,
Yes.
the one when he was 13,
2011, yes.
and the one in 2014.
Yes.
So the one in 1999, that was the one at his birth, wasn't it?
He was 1 year old at
1
the
year
time.
old. Okay. And as a 1-year-old, he was good.
He showed slightly elevated levels of creatinine, and this could be a factor considering creatinine is one of the factors that goes into calculating GFR. So it was slightly concerning, but not alarming.
And the one in 2014, last year, was good.
2014?
Yes, ma'am.
2014, he was within all of his ranges. However, his GFR had fluctuated back up drastically, which was a concerning sign.
Drastically.
Yes.
How drastically?
From 75 to 90, that is a drastic range in
Are you-
GFR calculations.
And you're saying from the 2011 test to 2014
Yes.
test. Okay. Let's talk about the 2011 test. Yeah. Reese was 13 at the time when that test was taken, right?
He was.
He was a freshman in college.
He just started college, correct?
Most freshmen in college are 17 or 18 though, aren't they?
Yes, according to what I've read, Reese seems to be a very intelligent boy.
And most 13-year-olds are still living at home with their parents, right?
Most, yes.
Doing boy things in their room, right?
I'm sure they are. I won't speculate as to what those are.
So, I mean, as a 13-year-old, wouldn't you say it'd be stressful to live away from home?
Could be stressful.
Could be stressful. So, with this potential stress, couldn't that raise some of Reese's levels?
It could potentially affect some of his levels, but it absolutely would not affect his GFR level.
It would affect his cholesterol, though, couldn't it?
It could have an effect.
So, let's talk about some of Reese's relatives, okay?
Okay.
Reese's mother had PKD when she died, right?
His biological mother did carry the gene of PKD. However, she had a we don't want to say that. Yes, she did die.
She did. And you were about to mention something that's very important. She had a pretty rough lifestyle, didn't she?
She did.
She smoked a lot.
She did.
She drank some.
She did.
Would you recommend someone to live a lifestyle of smoking and drinking, Dr. Skinner?
I wouldn't recommend it.
I mean, it's pretty common knowledge that cigarettes in large doses can kill you, can't they?
They can kill you, but they can't cause you to have kidney failure. That was from the PKD.
But don't you think having an unhealthy lifestyle could accelerate kidney failure?
No, not really.
Reese's biological aunt, his mother's sister, also has the PKD gene, doesn't she?
She does.
And some of other Reese's family members have the gene, don't they?
Yes.
But Reese's mother was the only one to die with the gene in full bloom, right?
She died from kidney failure. The PKD caused created cysts in her kidneys, which led to kidney failure. And therefore, her ultimate death was because of the PKD.
But she is the only known relative we have of Reese who died because the PKD grew all the cysts on her liver.
She was the only one who died of it because she did not have a medical roadmap in place to stop the cysts from growing and taking over her kidneys. Like her, Reese's grandfather, on the other hand, has taken care of these problems and has lived no, just kidding. God, I keep getting sides mixed up. This is why I need to get. Just kidding. Yep.
So let's talk about Reese as he is right now in 2015.
Let's talk about it.
He's 16 years old.
He is.
He's about to graduate
From college.
from college. He's only got one kidney though.
He does.
Only one. And in 2014, just to reiterate, his tests were normal. Let me rephrase the question. In 2014, his tests weren't a cause for concern.
I wouldn't say they weren't a cause for concern. The GFR had elevated drastically from his 2011 blood test results, and this was alarming.
And as of today, though, Reese is showing no signs of kidney disease, is he?
He is not symptomatic as of right now. However, I predict by 35 years of age he will be.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Is he step down? Any further to the plaintiffs?
No, Your Honor. The plaintiff's rest.
Here's your book.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense counsel would like to make a motion for a directed verdict, separately on actual damages and punitive damages. Based on the premise that plaintiff's counsel has not shown any evidence that a reasonable juror would be able to address or find any actual damages that Reese would be likely to incur, and that they have provided no evidence or sufficient evidence of willful wanton reckless conduct on behalf of the hospital with regards to punitive damages.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor. As far as the actual damages go, we've just heard testimony from Dr. Charlie Skinner, who says in all medical probability Reese Nancy will contract PKD in the future. Therefore, on the issue of actual damages, at the very least, should be submitted to the jury on future medical expenses, as well as we've also read in the economic report prepared by Dr. Neil Stampin. Defense will have an opportunity to counter these with their own expert testimony, but as it stands right now, the jury has plenty to decide on as far as actual damage go. However, also on the issue of exemplary damages, there's been deposition testimony from Don Kiefer saying that the hospital had access to, had the availability, access to Reese, to ask him how old he was, also to had access to medical records that would have shown his birthday. So the whole premise of plaintiff's argument for exemplary damages is that the hospital failed to do these things. The jury has this information before them, and therefore we respectfully request you deny defense motion.
May I respond, Your Honor? Taking these one by one, in regards to actual damages, the testimony that we've heard thus far from the plaintiff's expert does say that Reese may contract the disease. However, it has been and always been speculative. The doctor herself stated that it's based on the assumption that Reese gets the disease, the assumption that he will suffer from it. There is no concrete evidence to suggest that he will incur any of these medical costs. And the jury form says the burden of proof in this case is reasonably likely to incur. And a reasonable juror cannot assume or interpret that to mean that these factors are sufficient to even suggest that he will incur any of these costs. And furthermore, to punitive damages, the testimony from Don Kiefer about the availability of those records, I believe, should have been kept out from 407. However, if it had not been, we have also heard that, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought on that one, but there are no facts sufficient to support the claim of punitive damages. When looking at the 5 factors on the jury form, the conduct of the hospital is in line with the conduct of other hospitals and relied on the information that the plaintiff gave them. And there is no culpability of the hospital in this, in the present case. They acted as a hospital would and should in relying upon the information given to them by their patient.
You gotta give them, you can't get so,
Thank you.
it's always gonna get denied, so I appreciate your passion for it,
Yeah.
but we need to rein it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, that actual
And you're-
damages thing is
You're testifying.
yeah, that's-
legit because she said the whole time it's assuming.
I agree.
There's for a life care report, bro.
Yeah. Do you even life care plan?
She said it was in her reasonable medical opinion.
Assuming
He
he
is
gets the
going-
disease.
No,
So
she's
then
basing
you
on.
need to-
But
He's wasting breath.
It is ways, they're always gonna deny it.
Yeah.
she's
So
basing.
here's the thing, is if a judge comes back to you and says, do you have a response? Then go ahead, but they're very unlikely to do that.
And you gotta be careful, because you're testifying, because none of that, you gotta go more with the fact, they didn't present you with any evidence that the hospital was culpable, we haven't heard anything. Don't
Yeah.
testify that they
Punitive
did
damage.
everything right,
I'll
we
give
just,
you the
they had.
punitive damage might have been a little suspect to that.
Okay.
But was fucking on point because he said assuming he gets the disease. It's a court of fact, not assumptions.
Do you have any feedback for that cross-examination?
Alright, so your cross?
Don't be flippant.
So many things.
I thought it was good as an impromptu one. It was a good
It was good.
You got the year wrong. This 2040.
Caught me up, because I keep on thinking I'm for the other side, and then I get halfway through and I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't say that.
Do you have any next week?
Alright, well, we didn't do challenge either.
No.
We didn't do that. What?
No.
We didn't. We just addressed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I told her, sorry, like half of yours didn't get, there's a piece of his and then his storage one, and then I got like 3.5 minutes off my phone that I'll apparently break up in